throws, swings.
There it is! Get out! Get out! All right!
Hit number 4192.
Swing on and miss. And Tom Browning has pitched a perfect game.
And a high fly ball, center field. He hit it a ton. It's gone. And the 2010 Central Division Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. And Homer Bailey has pitched a no-hitter.
You're listening to the Redlegs Radio Report with Jason and Todd on Bowling Green's home of the Reds, ESPN Radio.
Good Saturday morning to you, Reds fans. It's Jason Harbison, although I don't really sound much like myself. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Todd. I think this is a safe bet here. We can play this. Yeah,
I've heard people say
that's right. Got the Barry White voice going for me today.
Yeah, too much
a little bit.
Anything is not good.
Yeah, this is what a little bit of sickness will get you. You know,
I don't know about
I'm sure the guys that are coming in here Monday to use this mic are really going to love it. I'm sure Garrett and those guys will just be like, we need to get some hand sanitizer and
disinfectant.
We just need to spray this whole area down. So we're just like the walking wounded today. Todd, you've got your Ricola over there. I've got some Ricola. We've got the water, the tea, everything. We're using Cameron Coates' little elixir, if you will, and it's legal. It's legal. You put a little honey. Yeah, a little Barry White for you there. I let that go a little too long, but anyway. So if you hear us with like a loud cough or whatever, or the mics go dead, that's why. So, but or as you would say, Todd, it's just a normal day for you with all of the fields around you that they kind of take down, and you get the allergies.
Respiratory difficulty,
to say the least. Yes, to say the least. So don't adjust your sets, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually my voice. So, it's kind of what I get for the last two. I guess last night. And the Wednesday night, I'm also on some cold medication, so if I sound even more aloof than normal or I can't finish a sentence, then I apologize for that as well. At least that's my excuse. I don't know what the excuse would be for me any other time, any other show where I can't finish a sentence or I ramble on. But anyway, I was doing soccer PA for Western Kentucky last night. Wright State Raiders from Dayton, not far from where I'm from, was playing last night, so I did that. So I'm like, yeah, things are going okay, but then I just you have to kind of do, and I won't do it now because I'll screw it up, but you have to kind of scream goal, you know, when that happens, when somebody scores, you know, like it's some sort of Telemundo, how they do that. Excuse me. And that kind of got me. That kind of got me a little bit there.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, on today's show, our guest is Reds broadcaster Jeff Piecoro. He'll be coming on a little bit later on the show. So, what's funny, not funny, is most of Bowling Green, but the part of Bowling Green where I live was without power last night from like 7:30 till about 3:30 this morning. So Todd comes in and he's like, hey, your secretary looks like she's got her handwriting here on some of the notes. Had no internet, had no nothing. So
how warm did it get in the house?
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. But special thanks go out to the WRECC guys that were out working on the power station, if you will, not to be confused with an 80s band that was a spinoff of Duran Duran. Yeah, that was a bad joke. That was really bad. That's the cold medicine talking, people. That's the cold medicine talking right there. That's what that was. Yeah, power station. They had that one song. That was out. See, cold medicine talking.
Yeah, that one song.
That one song.
That they did.
Yeah, Get It On, Bang a Gong was their big, hit, which was actually a copy of T-Rex. So my wife would kill me for not being able to rattle that off quickly.
But isn't that a copy of somebody else also?
It might be a copy of a copy of a copy. I don't know.
Todd Rundgren?
It might be. It might be, yeah. If only we had these.
I may be wrong. I don't know.
If only we had these magical devices around.
Magical device.
That we could look this kind of thing up.
Todd Rundgren writing credits. On a Red show.
Todd's already making my voice. He's making me laugh and kill my voice as you cough over in the corner. This is great. We're like the walking wounded today. Well, it shouldn't be any different than any normal show with us. So, also, a big shout-out goes to the BG Little League, of course, BG East, which they're now representing the Great Lakes region. Yesterday afternoon, they came up a little short in the Little League World Series. Today, they've got like a do-or-die game against New England at 2 p.m., so good luck to those guys. We've got a couple listeners that have their kids on that show. Escalara, who is Jason Escalara, who tweets us a lot on our Twitter page, which is at Redlegs Radio Rep. His son's actually the third baseman, so they've had
done well, yeah.
They've done really well in some of the, of course, the regionals that were on TV. This game's actually on ABC today, by the way, and he was tagging the ball. Those guys, I think the game that they played to get into the World Series, they just absolutely annihilated that team from. I don't know if it was from Michigan or Minnesota or where it was from, but they absolutely killed them. It was great.
I think they were Minnesota. Yeah,
Minnesota, something like that. Yes. All right. Well, the Reds are 57-64, 7.5 back, 6.5 back of the wild card. It's been a horrific week for the Reds. They got swept by the Nationals, including a 17-7 thrashing Wednesday. Beat the Cardinals on Thursday 2-1 on the back of Sonny Gray, who had an outstanding game. His pitch count was up there, Todd, but he actually had 10 strikeouts. But they got smacked around last night, 13-4 by the Cardinals last night. And I guess that's really the only silver lining to not having any power last night. Couldn't watch the game.
Yeah, but I bet you still looked at your phone, didn't you?
Yeah, I was still looking at the phone, and of course I was killing our data, because we didn't have Wi-Fi, of course. So I'm sitting there just kind of scrolling through. But
as we were talking about in the course of 1 week, literally, the Reds went from the optimism of going into the Cubs series, thinking, Cubs, the Reds take 3 out of 4, and they're right in the middle of it.
Yeah,
and in 1 week, they've blown it.
Yeah.
Between the Cubs and Washington, and time's running out, and you can't take 1 step forward and 3 steps back at this time in a division like this and do anything. So I don't know. I'm not very optimistic.
I'm not either. I'm not either at all, especially at this point in the season. I mean, there's less than 100 games to get. Well, obviously we're well deep in the season. We're almost to the end. We're in the middle of August, but we'll be into the dog days of September. So it's going to be. I don't know. I always say it'll be interesting, but it's probably not going to get that interesting for the Reds. Maybe just try to battle it out for 4th and 5th place in the Central Division of the NL. But I don't know. I don't know. It's
tough.
Yeah. Well, even last night, Castillo wasn't really himself. Went 4 1/3 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs, all of them earned. 3 Ks, gave up 3 home runs, ballooning, and I say this, almost facetiously, his ERA up to 3.10, which was a guy that's, hovering around the ones, but when he gets up to 3.10 like that, that's, he's kind of a Superman out there, the ace of the staff, if you will. But
kind of looks like Sonny Gray's ace of the staff right now.
It does. It really does. Yeah, I mean,
he's as good as it gets.
The dude had a no-hitter going through, I believe, 4.5, because I was actually covering the Dayton Dragons game. They were in town on Thursday night for the Hot Rods. Actually, the Hot Rods were the Bootleggers. It was really cool. They rebranded themselves as the Bootleggers, and kind of. My only complaint to that was, Todd, is they didn't play any Dukes of Hazzard theme song music when they, just a good old boys. I mean, would it kill them to play a little Waylon Jennings out there?
Never mean to no harm.
But anyway, so yeah, he had an outstanding game on Thursday. Like I said, other than his pitch count being up there, it was on the back of Sonny Gray, and really at the end of that game. Iglesias came in, gave up a run, so it was really close. That 2-1 lead, it was kind of teetering there for a while, so it came down to the very end. I think his arm's taxed. I think he's, like most of the bullpen.
I'll take that statement you just made any day. Iglesias only gave up a run. Because there have been too many times where, it was way worse than that.
True. That one got me, Todd. That one got me in the coughs. I know the whole key of this show is just to make each other laugh, and oh, by the way, if somebody out there in Radio Land laughs as well, then so be it. Of course, the other big news this week is the Phillies acquire Jared Hughes off of waivers from the Reds, but the Reds also pick up Freddie Galvis from Toronto. Now, Galvis is hitting .274, and he's had a hit in every game that he's been in the lineup, and he actually started out. Of course, I didn't start him at second base when he came over, but he actually started out, and I think he went something like 3 for 4. He'd come into pinch hit, and he just, there's a guy, I guess, that Toronto just didn't have any room for him. I don't think that they thought he was, a bad player. It was just that you've got Bichette coming up, and they've got to make room for him and put him on the waiver wires, and the Reds, I think, made a heck of a pickup there.
Looks like a great pickup. Reds have 8 second basemen now.
Yeah.
But it looks like a great pickup.
Well, and Galvis said that he could play anywhere. He was saying that he could play any position that they want. That you just put me anywhere, I can play it, and that's what you want to hear as a manager or as a coach. I think you'd want to hear those things.
Yeah, well, Reds have several players that can do that. Thankfully,
I was actually talking to Michael Compton, who of course is the beat writer for the BG Daily News. For whatever reason, he's a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan. And so I was asking him when I was down there covering, because he was, of course, covering for the newspaper when I was there for the Dayton Dragons game at the Hot Rod or BG's Bowling Green Stadium. This cough medicine is just going to get.
It's easy for you to say.
Yes, Bowling Green Ballpark, where the Bowling Green Hot Rods were playing. And I was asking him about Freddie. I said, "Well, what'd you think about us, getting Freddie?" And he's like, "Well." Says I loved him, but of course there's really no room for him. And we were kind of joking around too that Toronto's pretty much the home for all of these all-stars kids, because you've got Bichette's kid playing there. Excuse me. Then you've also got what's his name, kids. Vlad's kid. Thank you so much. Blaming that on the cough medicine again. Playing there, so they're really rebuilding. They're doing a heck of a job rebuilding. If you look at what they're doing up there in Toronto,
I think they need a first baseman.
Anyone you know from the area?
I could make some suggestions. Please.
Please take him. But anyway, so, there's some question as if Galvis will be the second baseman of the future for the Reds. So time will tell on that. The other big story, of course, is Aristides Aquino. Another home run last night, and no one in the history of baseball has reached 10 home runs faster in their first 16 games. I mean, the guy is flat tearing up. He's really been the only bright spot for the Reds these past couple weeks, if you will, since he's been with the team. But those numbers are amazing. I'm going to ask Jeff Piecoro about this later. Is the guy ever going to come back to earth? I mean, once teams see him the second time around, they're going to have him probably figured out. I still think he's got problems hitting that breaking ball.
Yeah.
But,
trouble with the curve.
Exactly.
Hopefully he can keep it up. I would like to have seen him up earlier.
I do too. Yeah, I would too.
See what he could do, but really no room.
Right.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think that's some of the big key decisions that the Reds need to make in the offseason as well. It's like, what are you going to do with this guy? You're going to re-sign this guy? And for all intents and purposes, Iglesias came out this week, said, I know I'm going to be a free agent next year. I'd love to stay in Cincinnati. This is where I want to be. I know that's kind of the PC thing to say. You're not going to talk bad about the team you're playing for now, just in case, there's any ill will there. You don't want to burn any bridges. But I think this offseason will be one of the most interesting in the past couple off seasons for the Reds.
Well, you can ask yourself, where would the Reds be without Jose Iglesias? And I'm telling you something. They would be way, way long out of the race.
Well, yeah, I think they'd probably be in Baltimore Orioles level, and the same thing could be said about he and Suarez. And of course, Suarez last night was taken out of the game. He's day to day with a sprained thumb. There was a play at third base. So you take those two bats out of the lineup, and this is a completely different team. And we're not even talking about.
You take those two bats out of the lineup, and it's a bad team.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. They're the only ones that have been doing anything as an everyday type player. So that may say something about the Reds right there. So right. We've talked on the show many times about the big name guys aren't really getting it done. You got guys coming off the bench. We said last week on the show about how Dietrich, Casali, all those guys, I don't want to say no-name guys, but the secondary players are the ones that are out there winning games, and that's not going to get you anywhere up in your division, especially in the NL Central.
And that's all year. It's not just lately. It's been from day one. I mean, Puig's had some big hits, and
right.
But for the most part, it's been Iglesias, and the Tucker every now and then is the guy that can do that, but. Certainly the big names have not got it done.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Barry White Hour, as we like to call it now. Just a little bit. Oh, yeah.
I've heard people say.
Oh, yeah. We've got Jeff Piecoro. I shouldn't play this because all I'm going to do is just laugh. We got Jeff Piecoro, of course, Reds broadcaster, coming up here after the break on the Redlegs Radio Report, ESPN Radio 102.7 and ESPN Radio 1027.com.
Now, Pabst Grippo's Beef Jerky. We have taken the great Pabst beef jerky and married it with the iconic Grippo's barbecue seasoning. This is a marriage made in beef jerky heaven. The thin cut of Pabst beef jerky is dusted to perfection with Grippo's seasoning. Once you try it, you will know no other beef jerky compares. So the next time you're headed on a road trip to the lake or your favorite golf course, be sure to have Pabst beef jerky fueling your outdoor lifestyle. PabstJerky.com. Ask for us at your local store.
Discover North Point Apartment Homes. Tour their 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments with a 24-hour fitness center, in-ground swimming pool, and access to the clubhouse and party room. North Point is now leasing. New to the area? North Point is just 10 minutes from downtown Bowling Green and WKU's campus. North Point offers short-term and corporate leasing. Plus, the property is pet-friendly. Call Melissa Henry at 270-202-9338. Schedule a tour and ask about their furnished units. North Point Apartment Homes, 141 Bristow Road.
The U.S. Army is offering up to $65,000 in student loan reimbursement as a new enlistment incentive. The program is available for nearly 50 different occupations, covering both full-time and part-time careers in the U.S. Army and Army Reserve. The total amount of loan reimbursement varies depending on the length of the individual's enlistment contract. For more information, talk to your local Army recruiter or check us out online at www.goarmy.com.
2020 sounds good at Luxury Imports of Bowling Green. Whether it's a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, hear the engine on a test drive and you'll pick up a roaring 20 for yourself. Or maybe one of the last 18s and 19s with special deals and financing to close out the year. Everyone has a dream car, and now bring it home. If Luxury Imports doesn't have your new or pre-owned BMW or Mercedes on the lot, management will find it and bring it fee-free to BG. Luxury Imports of Bowling Green, 325 Three Springs Road, online at luxuryimportsofbowlingreen.com.
Hey, racing fans, legendary racing icon David Rampy.
David Rampy claiming his 100th national event win.
We'll be live in person at Dunlap Family RV Center in Bowling Green. Wednesday from 9 till 6. He'll be signing autographs and talking with fans about his extraordinary racing career. And join me, Bratcher, from 105.3 The Point. I'll be there, too, from 3 till 5. Come meet and have an autograph signed by racing icon David Rampy all day Wednesday at Dunlap Family RV Center, next to the National Corvette Museum.
Clean your classic car or truck, then join Brewster's Cruisin' for a Cure. This Tuesday, cruising will take place at Brewster's, 5 to 8 p.m., 2712 Scottsville Road. Brewster's Cruisin' for a Cure. Help out the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation and Alzheimer's Foundation, along with benefiting Hospice of Southern Kentucky. Brewster's Cruisin' for a Cure. Tuesday night at Brewster's, 5 to 8 on Scottsville Road. Bring out your classic car or truck and help out this great cause with J.C. Kirby and Son.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. Right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Jason Harbus and Todd Smith joining you this Saturday morning. Still sounding like Barry White here with this voice and this cold, but we've got a little Duran Duran Rio going for you. Todd, you're bobbing your head over there in the corner.
Yeah, I dig that song.
Yeah.
Like Duran Duran.
Oh, yeah. Big 80s stuff. So, yeah. And speaking of 80s stuff, this next man, our guest today, coming back on the show from 1980 to 1984, played for UK, and he's also in his 21st season covering the Reds, where he hosts the pre- and post-game show, Reds Live, and also co-hosts Reds Weekly with Doug Flynn. And he's made a couple stops here in Bowling Green on the Reds Caravan over the years. Please welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky, here on the Redlegs Radio Report, Jeff Piecoro. Jeff, what's up, sir?
Not much, guys. How are you this morning?
Well, we're both nursing colds. I guess we must have shared a cup of something together. So it makes for good kind of smooth jazz, like 70s radio DJ type stuff, with the Barry White kind of voice. So there's that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Jeff, let's get right to it. It's been really an up-and-down year for the Reds. Mainly, this past week been a very down week for them, with the exception of one game. What do you make of the Reds season kind of as a whole, if you can kind of paint with a broad brush?
Wow, isn't it interesting? You start the season, and you're hoping that you in the offseason had picked up enough pitching, and your bullpen was fantastic. The starters started to come around, and you just didn't hit. Nobody hit, and Joey didn't hit. And then all of a sudden you're starting to hit, and you just couldn't put anything together. It's one of the strangest seasons. I mean, when you look at this team, and you go down guy by guy, and you match up really well with other teams. But why aren't they winning is the $64,000 question. That what is missing from this team? I think is the question that everyone's asking. I'm not sure. The only thing I can say is there a vocal, if that's the best word, vocal leader on this team? That's all. Is there that one guy that's going to jerk a guy by his shirt collar and say, "This is how we do it," and this is what we have to do? I'm not sure there is. That's, to me, is the biggest problem, because I'm a big guy about chemistry. I think that you've got to have chemistry and you've got to have a leader. And we've had leaders through the years. That wore the C on the shirt. This team doesn't have that. They don't have a captain. There hasn't been a captain in a long time. So I don't know. I think that, to me, is the biggest problem with this team. Is there's not that one guy that is the guy that they all look to when you use any cliche you want, in the foxhole and all that kind of crap. But that to me is the one thing that's missing with this team.
So you think it goes a little bit deeper than just putting the C on the jersey? It just even without that, there needs to be a guy that just kind of steps up in the clubhouse.
Yeah, and and here's the thing too. I think everyone realizes this now. Look, Joey Votto is the guy that makes the most money. He's supposed to be your best player. But Joey isn't a vocal guy. We all know that. He leads by example. Hey, watch me take BP. Watch me go in the film room. Watch me take the extra time that I do. Doing everything. But he's not a guy that's going to, yank guys in there. Hey, you need to come in there with me. You need to do this with me. You need to do that. That's not him. And they're just, I don't know why, but no one else has kind of stepped up to do that without, because he doesn't. And I'm not saying Joey Votto is the reason, but I just, every team seems to have that guy. And you look at the really good teams, and they all had, somebody that's a leader. You would go through the years with the Reds. You had Barry, and, you had Greg Vaughn. And, I know we go back to those. You had Scott Rowland. This team doesn't have that. And then the other thing, too, they've lost a lot, especially here lately, without David Hernandez and without Jared Hughes now that are both gone. Those were two veteran guys who really had a real presence, with this team.
Jeff, this is Todd. What do you make of the, with the new baseball, with the exaggerated shifts and the analytics?
How long are you guys on?
Yeah. We can go an extra hour for you today, Jeff, if you like.
Here's the real interesting thing. I know Clint Hurdle off the field as well. He had a player that had Parkinson's, and we had this big event 2 years ago. And this was a time when Pittsburgh led the league, the entire majors, in shifting. And we were talking, he said that he thought in the next couple of years that players would actually possibly even wear like a smart watch, an iWatch or something like that, where they could position them from the dugout.
That's crazy.
Now, I hope it doesn't get to that, but you've seen what the Reds do, and the guys all run out, especially after they all have those cards. You seen them pull the cards out that they keep in their back pocket?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, every day, every single day, there's all the extra coaches the Reds have. The Reds have what, I think 12 coaches now on their that listed. These guys make those cards up in their shifts for every pitcher against every batter, and so they make those every day and they laminate them. And when there's a pitching change, you'll see the bat boy run out to the field to give them out to the outfielders. It's amazing to me how far you've gone. And what I always what I say to myself is, wow, I wonder what, and let's use Barry Larkin. He's sitting at their shortstop. He's played 14 years at this point. He's a Gold Glove shortstop, and you've got, some coaches that go, Barry, move to your right 2 steps. Move to your left 3 steps. Yeah. Would they do that? You know what I mean? How do they feel about that? I'm all for it for pitchers. I think it really helps them. But I don't know. It's really weird. I can't understand how. George Brett said this at spring training this year. He goes, I wish that they had the shift when I played? He goes, because Ted Williams wouldn't have been the last 400 hitter. Yeah, and you got to remember, George Brett hit, 390, whatever it was, that one year, and he said, I could hit the ball to a shortstop anytime I wanted, you know? So what has, to me, more so than shifting is what's the difference in the hitter from now until then? I think Jay Bruce is a great example. Jay Bruce is like Ted Williams. I'm pulling the ball. I don't care. He couldn't hit it to third base, you know, if you put on a tee and said hit it to third base. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of weird to me that that's the way that baseball is going. And, I mean, we see it all the time here. I'm going to kind of sneak this in very seamlessly, Jeff, and you won't be able to realize what I'm saying. But I do some PAing for Western Kentucky baseball and softball here, and right. I see that all the time where even in the softball games, the games take so much longer because every pitch, they've got those little kind of wristbands on that the quarterbacks will wear that have all the plays on them. The pitcher will look down at the wrist, will look to the dugout, and you know they'll send some hand signal in, and everybody's got the cards in their back pocket, and the game seems to be taking like 2 times as long. And I really see that's kind of the way things are moving towards.
Oh, I agree 100%. I do college baseball, SEC Network, and you'll see after the hitter gets into the box, so, you know, pitcher throws the pitch, ball. Catcher throws it back. The hitter steps out, adjusts his gloves, steps back in the box. The catcher then looks over to the dugout, gets a sign from a coach after about 10 or 12 seconds. Then he flips up the little wristband and he reads, okay, here's the pitch that he wants me to throw. And then he drops the sign, and you're like, just throw the ball. You know, in college, guys usually have 2, maybe 3 pitches. I mean, can you be signaling to these guys? It's amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing. You know, think of this. And again, I'm a little bit older than you guys are, but guys like Rod Carew, Wade Boggs, Don Mattingly, Tony Gwynn, George Brown, you go on and on and on and on. With Pete Rowley, Joe Morgan, you know, if he's hitting left-handed, it's Joey Votto. He can hit the ball on the left side anytime he wants to. Why can't more players do it? And my whole thing is, and again, I'm not picking on Jay Bruce. He had a great career. He made a ton of money playing Major League Baseball. But Jay Bruce is a pull hitter, period. Right? But to me, is if he could change it earlier when he was growing up, just think of, you know, how much better could he have been, I guess is what I'm saying. But in his mind and in Adam Dunn's mind, hey, I make a lot of money because I can jerk 35 home runs, you know, out of the ballpark every year. I don't have to, you know, I don't have to be better than I am, I guess is what I'm getting at. I would assume, right?
You would think so. Yeah, I mean, you would really think so in today's game.
With all the things that you have, all the technology, all the help that you have, the video and everything, it's real interesting. But I agree with you guys. I think the game's taking longer because of all this analytical stuff. I just think you're making it too complicated. It's still throw the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, right?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Jeff, Todd again. Who surprised you on this team, whether good or bad? Who's been the biggest surprise in your view?
Well, I would, if you'd have asked me this at May 1st, I would have said Derek Dietrich because the other time he got up, he had a home run. But as the season's progressed, I think that's pretty easy. It's Jose Iglesias. You know, you get this guy late in camp. You know that he's really good defensively. He's the best 2-strike hitter in baseball. With 2 strikes, nobody's better than him. He's great with runners in scoring position. But before you got Galvis, he was, second on the team in RBIs, I think, with 46?
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? And here's a guy that was everybody said was a light-hitting shortstop that was great defensively. And to me, he's been fantastic. And I think to me, that's probably the biggest surprise. I think the other guys, you know what you have. The other surprise, and this is probably on the other side, is, you guys are asking about analytics and stuff. Jared Hughes is a sinker ball pitcher. And those guys have to be used a lot because when their arm gets a little tired, that ball really moves. When he's fresh, the ball doesn't move as much. He has to be used every other day almost. And I think, and because of that, analytics don't really give him justice of what he does. He's a ground ball pitcher, and so he wasn't used as much this year. And his, he's hurt now. He's gone. David Hernandez had a great season last year. This year, I think, there was that game in San Francisco where he struck out the side on like 10 pitches or whatever it was. It was fantastic. Hadn't been the same pitcher since. And, those are two guys who are really relying on. So that surprised me that, those two guys had such a downturn so quickly in their careers after really good seasons last year. So the good one is Iglesias, and the bad one, I guess those two are, unfortunately no longer is.
Yeah, I mean, those are both great picks that I would agree with wholeheartedly. Of course, we're speaking with Jeff Piecoro today, Reds broadcaster. If you're not familiar with his voice, you can see why we have him on the show, because we love to get him riled up. It's great. it's always great having you on. But so obviously this is your interview, Jeff. But the big announcement yesterday on the month of Marty, has it really sunk in yet for you? Because I know Todd and it hasn't really sunk in yet for us, but you see him every day, where we just kind of see him every once in a while. So it's probably kind of surreal to you.
I can't wait for him to leave. It's been way too long. I mean, come on. How old is he? 78? Well, goodness gracious. Let somebody else have a chance, old man.
We're gonna isolate that and make that a soundbite, by the way.
I know you will. No, Marty. I mean, you think of this. I'll be 58 in October. Marty is, since I was a kid, that's the guy we listened to. Mm-hmm. Marty and Joe for all those years were such a great combo, and everything has to come to an end. It's unfortunate, but. He's just had a fantastic career. He's in every Hall of Fame there is, so why not put him in ours? And, I'm on the board for the Hall of Fame, and it wasn't even a question. We said, hey, we're going to put Marty in, and it was unanimous. They said, yes, he's going in now. We're not going to wait. But, it's going to be really different. I mean, Tommy's really good. Tommy's got, here's the one thing that you miss. That I really like, for instance, when Marty and Joe were doing a game, when Marty and Jeff are doing a game is the same way as, to me, anybody can call the game. Just tell people on the radio that, hey, it's a fastball, and this is outside 2-1 pitch. But to me, it is the stories and, hey, did you see this kid came up through, and name a ballpark in the minor leagues, and then they talk about, hey, I remember I did a game there. Joe would have said, Joe said, oh, they had the worst locker room. It was always cold water. That, to me, is what makes the game. Mm-hmm. And Jeff is the same way, that he can tell those stories with Marty. And Tommy's that way, because Tommy has been through the minors. He's had years. He's 7 years at Pensacola, so he's been all over the place. And that, to me, is what's fun listening to those guys, when they can weave those stories about the minors and the ballparks and maybe, coaches or managers that they've run across in the minor leagues. That, to me, is a fun way to listen to a game. If I'm driving in my car, that to me is what's neat. And Marty was so good for so long of telling those stories and talking to him and Joe talking about growing the tomatoes and the strawberries at spring training when they were down in Florida and things like that. That, to me, is the fun part of listening to him.
Yeah, not to name drop, but we had Cowboy on a couple weeks ago, and the one thing that he said that I think you would probably agree with, Jeff, is that he's actually leaving at the top of his game. It's not like he's decrescendoing out of a career at all. I mean, he could go probably another 10, 15 years if he wanted to.
Oh, no, you're exactly right. For a guy his age, he's really young. Mm-hmm. Amanda, his new wife, they've been married about 5 years, I guess, has really, you would never know, being around him, that he's that old. He doesn't act like that, And you're right. He's still good. He's still one of the best. And that's it's not easy to make it sound as good as he does.
It's so true, though. It really is true. So now, of course, Jeff, we love Reds Live, of course, but also the Reds Weekly that you do with Doug Flynn. Now, when can we expect, with Marty out of the way, because it sounded like you really just want to kick Marty to the curb, When can we expect the Jeff Piecoro bobblehead, or will it be a dual bobblehead of you and Flynn kind of together at a desk?
I would say it would have to be me and Flynn. I have known Doug since we were kids. Doug's a little bit older than I am, and both grew up in Lexington. He went to a rival high school of mine. But I've known him for, goodness gracious, 40-plus years. And, we're just two guys who grew up in Lexington, like baseball. And I think that shows on the show that we just have fun. Doug's a kind of lighthearted, loves fishing, and, that's what we talk about. And that's what, again, it's the same thing as I said with Marty and Joe. If you have two people that are just having fun and they're talking about, what they're talking about, hey. But Doug's just a salt-of-the-earth guy, man. He's one of the best guys I've ever met. If you know Joe or knew Joe, no one said a bad word about Joe. And it's the same thing with Doug Flynn, man. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Doug. Doug does so much charity-wise. That's what's really cool.
Yeah, and Doug does a lot of work also down here in Bowling Green. Of course, the late great Wes Strader had a show for many years on the station here at 102.7, and he and Doug were thick as thieves. And anytime I see Doug up at the press, in the press box area, he would always ask about how he was doing. So yeah, just a salt of the earth, just a great guy.
Yeah, Wes was a wonderful person too, man. I'd see Wes at any time at all the Kentucky games, football and things like that. And he was, just another one of those guys that you're like, wow, I'm a better person for knowing that guy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we still, just for kind of point of reference, we still have a show that's called the Wes Strader Sports Line here. That's in honor of him. That our good buddy Garrett Browning does every. I believe it changes times during the week. Actually, when the Reds are on, right. So it's kind of around the Red schedule. So it's usually on Monday or different times throughout the week. But we're still keeping his memory alive down here in Bowling Green. So.
Well, that's awesome because he deserves it. He was like I said, just a great guy and really good at what he did.
Absolutely. Well, this is Jason Harbison and Todd Smith on the Redlegs Radio Report. Now, before we let you go, and we're going to blindside you here a little bit. I know how much you love this. I know how much you love this, Jeff. But we have this thing called Reds Confessions. Yeah.
Reds Confessions.
Now, what this is we've had callers call in and we've had people tweet us this. If you've had any Reds confessions, now we've asked Marty this, we've asked his wife, we've asked Welsh this, and now we're asking you this. Now, what it kind of is do you have anything to confess to us? And maybe it's when you were a kid, you had tickets to the Red seats at Old Riverfront, but you snuck down to the blue seats, or maybe you took an extra batting practice baseball and kind of stuck it in your back pocket there, something like that. Is there anything that you would like to confess to the good listeners here in the Bowling Green, Kentucky area, sir?
Wow, I do that kind of stuff all the time.
It's just picking one, I'm sure.
Yeah, picking one. Wow. Okay, here's one that no one knows about, and I hope Rob Butcher doesn't hear this. You were not allowed to take stuff from players, and you were not supposed to.
Right.
And Adam Duvall a couple of years ago, these guys, it's like Christmas. Every time we come back from a road trip, they're going in this just boxes of stuff by everybody's locker. Every place, shoes, hats, shirts, golf clubs, bicycles. I mean, anything. When Homer Bailey was here, it was arrows and bows, and things like that. I'm like, wow. Well, Adam Duvall had got a couple of game sunglasses, and he was looking at them. He goes, "I love this. I love this. I love it." He looked up, and I was walking by. He goes, "You want this?" And I'm like, I looked around and said, "Sure." Put it in my pocket and walked out. So I got a pair of players' sunglasses to wear home. That's my Red confession.
All right.
I learned to play golf.
Okay, well that's good. We won't tell Rob Butcher next time we see him. So I think that's that's somewhat tame, I guess, for something like that. So that still good that you confessed it here to the good people of Bowling Green.
I feel so much better getting that off my chest.
Okay, well, that's good. I know that was weighing heavy on your shoulders, and I can say one thing before we let you go, too. Then this is just kind of, we can say that it's off the record or on the record, whichever way you want. But people will ask Todd and I all the time, because we're around you guys from time to time in the press box area, that what are they really like? And I can tell you that Jeff Piecoro behind the scenes is the same guy that you hear on the air. So I think that's a testament to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. That's That's been my motto since I started doing this in 1986. Is I'm just going to be the same guy. Like I talk when I'm doing football, baseball, basketball, whatever. I'm like me and you are sitting at a bar watching a game on TV, and that's where I want it to come across.
And that's really, I mean, that's just a great way to go about your broadcasting career. I think people can really relate to that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
All right, Jeff Piecoro, thanks so much for coming on the Redlegs Radio Report. We got to get you on and get you riled up again real soon sometime, Jeff.
Anytime you fellas need me, just give me a holler, boys.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much, Jeff. All right, we'll see you.
That was a good one.
Oh, I always love talking to him.
Good to know that we're not the only ones that feel that way about analytics.
Yeah, I knew you were going to get him fired up about that. We're going to take a break here on the Redlegs Radio Report, ESPN Radio 102.7 and also ESPN Radio 1027.com.
Earl, where in the Sam Hill have you been? I called you an hour ago.
Luann, I had to load the boat and stop for some soda pops.
Well, I'm sure glad you're including me in your priorities. They are still not working. Now the chair is stuck to my hind end, Earl. That is not funny. If I don't get this chair loose, it's liable to ruin my new, fun summer shorty shorts.
All right. Get in the bed of the truck.
What?
I'll take you to...
No.
You can't fit in the cab with that chair stuck to your backside, Luann.
This is ridiculous.
The doctor will see you now.
What seems to be the problem?
Well, obviously this chair is stuck to my fanny.
Actually, I've seen this before. It's called sticky chair. First thing, you must turn to the experts at Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling for your Carrier unit.
Ours is one of them others.
Don't worry, they serve as Carrier and all other brands. Now, Earl, if you lend me a hand, let's get this chair.
Hold still, Luann. 1, 2...
Ouch!
Sweat, combined with furniture, can cause sticky chair. Take preventative measures now with Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling. Servicing Carrier and all others. 270-782-5391.
Okay, I'm on 65 right now. Which exit do I take?
You're going to want to take I-165.
No, I'm on I-65.
No, take I-165. Should be on the sign.
I'm pretty sure that's not a 1 there. I'm pretty sure that's just another I. I-65?
Aye. Well, ahoy, Polloy.
Look, I'm looking at it. I just don't see a 1 there. It's just I-6.
Suffering from post-natural confusion? See Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. iCar Gold Shop, certified with a lifetime warranty. 311 Vanderbilt Drive behind the Scottsville Road Post Office.
Preparing for back to school? With Monticello Bank's MasterCard, we'll not only give you the credit you deserve, we'll do it with fantastic customer service. Making payments or inquiries on your account is as easy as calling or dropping by your nearest branch. You can even earn points to redeem for rewards with each eligible purchase you make. This is Stephanie Howard with NBC, and I invite you to call or stop by one of our convenient locations today, and we'll be happy to help you apply. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC.
You're doing your best to build and grow your business, trying to reach as many prospective customers as possible and get them in your door. Lucky for you, I specialize in helping you do exactly that. I'm Sherry Clark, and for over 25 years, my focus has been helping businesses grow. I leverage the power and reach of radio, the deep connectivity of social media, and the on-demand convenience of online marketing to put you and your business in front of as many people as possible. How do you know my marketing advice works? Just talk to other business owners and managers in Southern Kentucky. For years, I've helped businesses like Studel Financial Services, Super Home Surplus, and United Furniture maximize their marketing dollars. And for as long as I've been helping businesses in Bowling Green, Kentucky Music has trusted me to guide their over-the-air marketing efforts. As your marketing consultant, my focus is on results for you. My advice is based on what's best for your business, not on a monthly quota. Your potential customers have a problem that you can help them solve, but they need to know your name, they need to know your story, and I'm here to help you tell it. I'm Sherry Clark, and I'd love to hear from you at sherryradiosales@gmail.com. Let's get together and tell your story.
This week's Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame moment looks at the return of a local legend. On August 15th, 1984, the Reds made a deal with Montreal that would send infielder Tom Lawless to the Expos in exchange for a 43-year-old Cincinnati West Sider by the name of Pete Rose. The announcement of Rose's return as the club's player manager was supposed to take place the following day, the 16th, but word leaked that afternoon, and general manager Bob Howsam was forced to inform Vern Rapp that he'd been replaced just prior to that evening's 3-2 11-inning victory in St. Louis. After an off day on the 16th, the stage was set for a Friday night contest against the Cubs at Riverfront Stadium. Rose had penciled himself in at first base and second in the batting order. In front of a screaming crowd of 35,038, the familiar number 14 came to the plate in the bottom of the first inning. What happened next was Vintage Pete.
Here's a pitch, and a line drive, base hit into left center field. Here comes Gary Reedus, and Rose has tied it up. The ball gets by Dernier. Pete is heading toward third, and he's going to be in head first. How about that?
This Hall of Fame moment is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. I know this is one of your personal favorites, Todd.
It is.
Sass Jordan.
Sass Jordan.
Yeah. Kind of a deeper kind of... She really just had like... I don't want to say a one-hit wonder, but she was... Had a couple hits back in the day, back in the 90s.
Love that guitar riff.
Oh, it's great stuff. We could just sit here and listen to the song. Well, actually, we can't listen to too much more of it because we get, they charge us. But, still, it's a good little song there, Sass Jordan. On the Redlegs Radio Report, we just had Jeff Piecoro, of course, broadcaster for the Reds. He's also on Reds Live as well as Reds Weekly. Got him fired up a little bit there. We got to get him on more often.
Yeah.
Got him fired up. We hit some buttons. I think you hit some buttons there, Todd.
I think we are kind of on the same page as Jeff Piecoro on most issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I am.
Well, I mean, it's funny, not funny, what he was saying about there's not, and you have said this on the show so many times, Todd, that there's nobody.
I've been saying it for a half a decade.
Really ever who were you saying that was like Scott Rowland? Yeah,
Rowland. When Scott Rowland left, that was the last time we had a clubhouse leader.
Mm-hmm. And as Piecoro was saying, somebody that'll grab you by the collars and just kind of set them straight in the clubhouse. And it goes a lot deeper than just having the C on your chest. And I'm not talking about the wishbone C that says Reds, but the C. And really, hasn't Larkin been the last guy to wear the captain's C? I mean, that's how long it's been. And I think before him it was Concepcion. I don't know if.
And you look at, I'm telling you, you look back at a lot of these teams, and I believe that this team this year has enough talent to be way better than they are.
Yeah,
and that's probably a lot of it.
Well, and Jeff was saying that it goes deeper than just chemistry. It's guys in the clubhouse, and as you were saying, Todd, it's just really there. It makes it kind of the way it is now. It's almost like factions, and I hate to compare this to like high school, but you've almost got like these little cliques of guys over here, and you got little cliques of guys over here in the clubhouse, and another little clique of guys, and it's almost like they don't talk to one another.
Right.
You've got
you see the same guys hanging out on the steps with the same guys all the time.
Yeah.
What you need is a guy that can go in there and
kick
some tail when guys are standing up there taking strike three.
Yeah, with runners on.
Someone should be accountable. I mean, for doing things like that. You have to drive in runs. I don't care where the pitch is.
Yeah.
You have to drive in runs to win games. And there is nobody. We have not had anyone since Rowland.
I would agree with that too. I mean, there's been some guys that have been vocal, but it hasn't been the kind of kick you in the tail, as you would say, way of doing things. I know that's kind of old school, and that goes against everything we've been talking about, especially with Jeff on the analytics and all of that. But it goes, a little bit of it goes a long way. If you know that there's some guy that kind of takes the reins and goes for it. Some people were saying, Frazier was going to be that guy, but I think he wasn't vocal enough as well when he was
pretty
here.
Young when he was in Cincinnati. And,
yeah.
It's you have to be performing, up to your expectations to kind of take that role, I think. And even though Rowland was a little different, I mean, he didn't hit. When he was in Cincinnati, he didn't hit for high average or anything, but he got big hits.
Yeah.
Big.
And they were timely hits.
Yes.
Is what, I mean, he was even an all-star with the Reds this couple of the seasons that he was here. So it's one of those things that really is an intangible, and I really love using that not in the back of a baseball card. I always love using that kind of tired and really true thing there. But that I'm going to blame that on the medicine that I'm on right now.
There you go.
That makes me sound like Barry White. So yeah.
I've heard.
I've heard.
Yeah. All right. We are going to get charged for playing that song too much on the show. But no, really, it's to your point, Todd. Completely understand that. And it comes also maybe with age, too, the veterans. Because you're not going to get Frazier when, like you said a couple years ago, he was too young to do it. He's not going to, supersede some of the guys that have been playing close to,
those teams
a decade and a half.
Back in, around the 15, 14, the 16 season, the only guy you really had that could step up, should have stepped up, but never did, was Votto as a clubhouse leader, and he just obviously doesn't care about that. So
it's just not in his personality.
You need to pick up someone like that if you intend to go into the postseason.
And really, next season, I think that's kind of their big. That needs to be their big find, if you will, for the Reds. They need that. That needs to be.
They need a guy that is productive also. They don't need a 250 hitter coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, you need someone coming in that's a productive leader, and you need to push Votto down to the 6, 7, 8 spot, and finally give up on him being worthy of hitting 1, 2, 3. It's over.
And I really think that it's very, very interesting to me that this year, with the way that there's only the one trade deadline, that they're picking up a lot of guys on waivers. I mean, that's what happened with Hughes and also on Freddie Galvis that the Reds picked up. So it's almost like baseball's changing a little bit this year because due to the new rules that are in place. So this time of year, usually there's not a lot of trades happening. There might be, in the olden days, all of last year and years before, there'd be trades going on, past the waiver deadline where you had to pretty much get, all of the other teams to basically agree that you could make this trade past the trade deadline. Well, now that they're doing this, they've got people they're sending down, and I mean, even yesterday, Billy Hamilton got DFA'd for hitting 211 essentially for Kansas City. Same Billy Hamilton that we remember here.
Hey, we could use some speed.
Maybe just get him back to run the bases. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than just having speed on the base paths for the Reds. But who knows?
That's true. I mean, they really don't have much speed after Puig left. But,
right.
That's not their biggest problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of at the bottom of the pecking order there, if you will, or the bullet point list of things that the Reds need to kind of look for. We mentioned a little bit when we were talking with Jeff Piecoro that the Reds are going to feature a month of Marty in September. Now, what that is, kind of breaking that down, he announced that he'll go into the Reds Hall of Fame in 2020. He's the lone inductee, so they're not going to even have like the voting that you can have for some of the other players that have come up through the Red system and have been there at least 3 years to make the Hall of Fame. So that right there says something that they're not even putting anyone else in, that 2020 is Marty's year. His last game will actually be September 26th, with Milwaukee. It's a day game. And they're also having...
Don't scare me like that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the 6th. The 6th, that's just run the corner. That's like a
weeks away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Tom is also going to join him on air for his next to last game. That would be on the 25th. And then September 26th, the first 20,000 fans will receive a transistor radio and earbuds, and the 7-second delay that usually goes out over WLW so fans can hear him in real time. That is awesome beyond awesomeness. That may be the greatest giveaway the Reds have done in a long time. Old school transistor radios. That's some marketing genius right there, if I do say so myself. So he's also going to greet fans on the concourse at Great American Ballpark September 3rd, 4th, and 7th. So that'll be cool that he's kind of getting out there amongst the fans. Going to also, I believe, one of the games, I don't have it in front of me, but they're actually going to do a broadcast from the stands. They've done that a couple times, like out on that big deck that's out there, the big steamboat or whatever they call it.
Yeah, that's in
center field.
That's in that 3 or 4 games right in that area. I think they're doing that.
Yeah.
And that'll be cool.
And what's really cool is the season finishes out in Pittsburgh, so he's not even going on that. He's not even going after that 26th game.
Unless they make the playoffs.
Unless they make the playoffs, right.
Or, they're in a hunt. I think that's how they put it, or whatever.
That was a nice way.
But I don't think that's. We'll see, but
yeah,
hope it does. But
I hope to get Marty on the show one last time too. That'd be really cool. It's kind of a final farewell. I'm sure he's going to be super busy, and I'm maybe that's the medicine talking right now. That yes, we need to get Marty
so
back.
Busy. Marty's always busy.
I know. That's what is so cool about getting some of these broadcasters. I know Jeff Piecoro. I was talking to him off air. I'm like, hey, listen, I realized the game was late last night and it was a really long one. I really appreciate you coming on this morning with us bright and early here. And he's like, no, man, that's all part of it. He says, I love doing it. And I'm like, because I don't know that I'd, after a big trouncing last night that the Reds got, smacked around big time, 13-4, that I'd want to get up early and talk to some guys about the Reds.
Yeah, I know. Probably not.
But then again, he probably loved that we asked him about the analytics and the old school way of doing things. and being much better. So he kind of had a platform here.
We should have just asked him that first.
Yeah.
And that would have taken up the next 20 minutes easily.
We should have just come, since, we're dealing with the Barry White voice right now, we should have just come on air and been like, okay.
Let's all complain about analytics today.
And by the way, Jeff Piecoro is going to be on the show for 55 minutes, and we're not even going to take a commercial break at all. So, it was great. If you missed any of that, you can go back and check it out on ESPN Radio 1027.com. That will be up in podcast form on Monday from our good buddy.
Get up, get on up.
Yeah, James Brown puts them up there for us, so that's always great. You can go back and also listen to some of our past shows. We had Derek Dietrich on a couple weeks ago. Also had Cowboy on. Trying to think who we've had on. The medicine is getting to me who we've had on the show. We've had a lot of people on the show. They're all kind of running together for me. Dan Billardello's been on. Gary Reedus. Who were some of the other people that we had on, Todd? John Blank.
Lenny Harris?
Lenny Harris was on. I loved Lenny Harris this year. He's now coaching for the Daytona Tortugas. Always good to have him on. How am I forgetting this? Last week
Derek Dietrich?
Derek Dietrich.
Oh,
we had
you
him.
mention him? Okay.
Yeah, and then we also had Tom Hume on.
Todd, I got your voice down.
He was on last week. That was a great interview. We had him on. Again, this medicine's talking right now. I can't even remember what we did last week. And we also had, from the Nashville Sounds, we had Adam Noose in studio. That was a really, really, really good show last week. So if you missed any of that, go back on ESPN Radio 1027.com and listen in podcast form. You can also subscribe there as well to us. And it comes right to your basic inbox there, if you will, on iTunes or Spotify or however you listen to your podcast. Last thing we're going to touch on here on the show. Oh, before we forget, because we almost do every week, DeSclafani
I was
today.
just looking at that. Like, are we going to get it in or are we going to forget?
DeSclafani, 4.51 ERA today versus McCullough, 4.13 ERA. The time for that game is at 5:40 Central. Hopefully the BG Little League game, which starts at 2 p.m. our time, will be done by then, so you can just go from have an afternoon of baseball. That's pretty cool.
Just go on the mound, keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that we shouldn't have waited till the end of the show, but every year MLB has, I shouldn't say every year, for the past 3 years, MLB has had the Players Weekend where they get to put their names on the jerseys, and they have kind of a really bright jersey. And I'll be the first to say the last 2 years I really liked them. They were kind of like really colorful with the reds being kind of almost like a pinkish red, a light color. So it's basically kind of around Little League looking uniforms. Well, this year they decided that they're going to have like all white and all black uniforms, meaning that like the logo, think of like the Blue Jays logo or the Pirates logo, is black on black or white on white. The hats are white on white. It looks like a Pete Rose is sitting in the Diamond Club seats wearing that white hat.
No, wait a minute. An all black uniform in August?
Yeah, it's really weird. It's you gotta, if you haven't seen it, look it up. They're just really odd. Well, that happens next weekend, and I'm all for the players having their own weekend. I think it's cool. Brings in the younger generation, and the guys get to put funny names on their back. Like DeWink, for Winker, and all of those things. Votto's is actually who. Hilarious. Yeah. Hilarious. Because he plays first base. But anyway,
just so funny.
This is going great.
Hey, that was almost the same voice.
It was pretty much. I mean, I didn't even hit a button there. That was pretty
nice.
Yeah. So anyway, look forward to that. And I use big air quotes about looking forward to the wonderful jerseys. Did you see also, too, Todd, that they're going to be playing a game next year at the Field of Dreams field out in Iowa? I believe it's the White Sox playing, I think, the Yankees maybe. So they're actually building... There's like where they filmed it, and then there's also like another field next to it. It's like literally across a cornfield. They're going to be playing a game there next year.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's
a good idea.
They have to actually like put in a couple thousand more seats for it. But it'll be cool. Kind of a throwback to that 1989 movie, which I can't imagine is that old now. That's how old we are. It seems like that movie just came out 10 years ago.
So are they going to have? How are they going to do the voice of the announcer? Is it going to be the?
They need somebody whispering in yeah, if you build it, they will come. That's not the announcer you were talking about. You're talking about like doing the play-by-play.
Old-timey.
Hey, 23 Skidoo here. All right.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, all of a sudden I turn into like somebody from a Warner Brothers cartoon. Hey, Muggsy, what do you say? What do you say there? 23 Skidoo. Oh, that's the old ball of yarn. Well, we've derailed the show,
That was
Todd.
really good, actually.
It's the cold medicine. It really is the cold.
Must be.
It's the cold medicine. All right, well, we're going to shut the show down, but join us next week right here on the Redlegs Radio Report, ESPN 102.7, ESPN Radio 1027.com.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority